Again, a very busy news day, and I want to give you my take on Steve Bannon. As you realize now, the Merrick Garland and his Justice Department, made the decision to go ahead and indict Steve Bannon this past weekend. And this morning, he was arraigned in district court on the indictment of contempt of Congress. And I want to give you my take on of Steve Bannon. In my estimation, Steve Bannon and Mike Lindell are Mac-daddying Trump. I would use the word, but I would like to give some literary privilege and some satirical opportunities for those who are algorithming what I'm saying and making a judgment about it. I'd like to give this some satirical privilege and some literary journalist privilege to use the word pimping. In my estimation, Steve Bannon and Mike Lindell are pimping Donald Trump, Tribulation Trump. And let me tell you what I mean by that. You know, Trump fired Bannon several years ago. You know, he brought him on. Someone told him that Bannon had an idea. Bannon had a direct artery to the heartbeat of America, who now is undergoing if you will, racial demographics that are not so much in the favor of Japheth people right now, and that Bannon had his finger on the pulse and had his heart, the artery, right to those people. So, you know, Trump put him on board and worked with him for a while through the campaign, and initially brought him into the White House as one of the administrators. But Bannon, because of his he does have his finger on the pulse of what's happening in the racial demographics in America and probably some of the techniques that need to be. And he's a historian of no means ability. And he began to garner a lot of press, Newsweek on the covers of magazines and everybody talking about Bannon. In fact, there was a point for about a month and a half where Bannon got more press in the media than Trump did. That's when Trump fired him, because that's how Trump is. Tribulation ain't gonna let nobody get more press than him. That's who he is. Everybody knows that. That the man is a media horse, a media hound. He loves the media. And Bannon was getting more of it than Trump was. Trump fired him. But Bannon is smart. He didn't walk out the door kicking and screaming like did Michael Cohen and Omarosa. He didn't do that. He realized he could still continue to play Trump, even though he's not in the White House. He went outside once he got fired. Trump called him sloppy. Bannon didn't know how to dress, didn't like his demeanor, said all kind of ugly things about him as he kicked Bannon out the door. But Bannon went out and said, Trump is a great guy. He's what we need. We need to stay with him. And he continued to praise Trump. Now, I call that, and again, the satirical term, and, with what I call it, journalistic, if you will, liberty, I want to call that pimping. You call it politics if you like, but I just don't want people to accuse me of using a word that is profane. But no, Bannon, no, sir. Bannon didn't start raising hell like Omarosa or Michael Cohen. And not that I'm against either one of those. Bannon still continued to get more attention. And he began to build Trump up so much, even after Trump fired him, talked about him, that Trump couldn't begin to start still shooting him down. And then many of the people that were with Trump, or that are with him now, are with Bannon. And so they began to see Bannon as helping Trump, and anybody helping Trump is helping them. And so Bannon became very much a part of the MAGA movement. Though Trump had an idea that this is what was going on, but nothing he could do. So what has happened now is that Trump can potentially, I don't know that he'll do this, I don't know that he will, but you never know. Bannon is going to wear this indictment as a badge of honor. He's going to be on Alex Jones and everywhere. He's going to be all over Fox News, Tucker, Carlson. That boy ain't going to be able to sleep. And he's going to eat every bit of it. Bannon may even go to jail for a year because it's worth it to him. To be able to have the devotion of the Trump supporter, not Trump, but the Trump supporter, to have the devotion, to have the press, have the media, Bannon is the kind of guy who's go to jail and do it standing on one foot. I'm telling you, that's who he is. That's how. You can understand. A whole lot of people do the same thing. So the very fact that he got indicted is Bannon is probably busting open champagne corks like you won't believe, because it's a good thing for him that he got indicted. And if he goes to jail, it'll be even better. Trump, however, may try to set Bannon up as the grand conspirator and the agitator, if you will, of an instigator of the 6th of January. There's a piece out there where Bannon is talking about tomorrow ain't gonna be what you think. It's gonna be something. Get ready, fasten your seatbelts, get ready. And Bannon is on the air the day before, on the 5th of January, talking about what's gonna happen on the 6th. Trump may try to set him up as the grand conspirator and the instigator. I don't know if he'll do that. I don't think Bannon cares. Whatever Ben Thompson and the January 6th committee wants from Bannon, they ain't gonna get it. And so do we have the sound bite, or we just have that? We don't have the sound bite. Okay, well, fine. But at any rate, so Trump may try to set him. I don't know but I can tell you this from behind the scenes, that both Bannon and Mike Lindell, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Mike Lindell today, but Mike Lindell is another one. My pillow guy. I used to watch that guy. I had no idea what his religious beliefs were. My pillow. I never bought one of them, but I was watching on Fox News. I go watching them. I'm watching Fox News, so I'm watching Mike Lindell hugging them. He's hugging them pillows, man. I said, okay, all right. But then he was able to give Trump some money. Got Trump's attention. Trump invited him to the White House. He let Mike Lindell sit down beside him. Mike Lindell has left off becoming a pillow salesman now. He's very successful at selling pillows. The boy was very successful. I think his business is still very successful. He ain't interested in selling pillows no more. Mike Lindell has his own television show. It's called, Lindell TV. He has his own television show now. It's really, it's on stream, it's live stream, but it's powerful. And he's got a large audience of people. And the thing that Mike Lindell is using, who I believe is Mac Daddy and Trump, is that he keeps every 6 months he announces that Trump's going to be back in office. Now you got to understand how players think. And Mike Lindell is a player. He's a player from way back when. And Steve Bannon is a player too. And they playing Trump. But here's how they playing him. Here's what Mike Lindell does. Steve Bannon played him by praying, oh, how wonderful Trump is. Even though Trump kicked me out, he's wonderful. He's a great man. Mike Lindell is playing him this way. Mike Lindell keeps telling everybody on Fox News, QAnon, Newsmax, you name it, that Trump is going to be back. He's really the true president. He's going to be back in office in 6 months. They started that right after the January 6th event. Said he's going to be back in Trump in office by August. I think it was August. Trump was going to be reinstated, right? Then August came and went. Mike Lindell got back on the air and said he's going to be back in office by November. November's come and gone. He's going to be back in office. So he keeps, and for people who hear that, they know Mike Lindell is a multi-billionaire. They know he's got money. He's got airtime. He's got the ear of Trump. He's got the ear. Well, he did have the ear of Fox News. But I think what he's doing, Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and all them other people on Fox News, I think Mike Lindell has his eye on taking Fox News down and building Lindell TV to bring all that audience. Because he cusses out Fox News, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham. He talks about them worse than, he just excoriates them. Call Fox News the biggest hypocrite, because his plan is this. He's got Trump, he's got Trump's audience, and he knows, and the Newsmax did the same thing. Newsmax has taken and a lot of people don't like, even though Tucker Carlson goes off the chain, he ain't the only game in town out there. So Lindell is trying to take down Fox News, become the new Fox News of media and Trump supporters. So, Steve Bannon and the people that these men are players. They're just, and Trump is very vulnerable. There's not a lot he can do to stop them from playing. Mike Lindell, you ain't gonna shut him because he got money. And the boy's charismatic. He's a salesman. I mean, come on now. Who do you know can sell pillows? That man been selling pillows for years and has become a billionaire selling pillows. He's a salesman, for crying out loud. He can sell anything. He can sell people on the idea that Trump's going to be back in office by January 2022. And people are going to give him. And by the way, while he's selling that, he's still selling pillows. And much as he cusses out Fox News as being hypocritical, he's still spending $50 million a year in advertising on Fox News. Figure that. He's still spending $50 million per year because Fox News sells them pillows. That boy making plenty of money. And not only that, but Steve Bannon is going to get some sort of a prize. I don't know if the Nobel Society is going to look at Steve Bannon. That boy, when they indicted that boy, he was so happy. He was scared that they weren't going to indict him. They were going to let him go. He was so scared. When he heard that the indictment has come down and he's going to go to jail, that was one of the happiest boys. I mean, Lord have mercy. That boy's happy. At any rate, my friend, my time is up for today. I didn't realize, even when I calculated what I had to do, that it would take this long to get it done. I got to give Steve Bannon the name. I'll come back with it. And I got to give Mike Lindell. They have got to have what I want to call Steve Bannon or Lindell, Daddy Lindell. Can I use that? Steve Bannon and Mike Daddy Lindell. Yeah, that's the best I can do right now. Steve Bannon and Mike Daddy Lindell. All right, so we got the Mac Daddy. He's probably going to be happy with that. So that name may be temporary now. It may be temporary because if I get a lot of feedback, because the Mac Daddy don't want anybody to have his name, then we might be in trouble. But up until that point, I'm good to go. At any rate, I'm James Evan Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant. And don't you ever forget it.
We it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver